It doesn't take courage to gang up on one person. It takes fear. And you, chosen one, scared them all. That's the truth they'll never say out loud. But their actions already did. The moment a group starts watching your every move, whispering your name in rooms you've never stepped into, and building secret alliances just to tear you down, that's not strength. That's panic. That's them realizing they've never come across someone like you before. And it shows. Imagine this. One lion walking through the jungle, and suddenly the hyenas start gathering. Not because the lion attacked, but because it exists. That's you. You walk in truth, move with purpose, and carry a presence that exposes everything fake around you, and those who survive by pretending. They can't stand it. They can't match it. So they team up, hoping numbers will cover their weakness. But here's the fact. Insecure people always need backup. Powerful people walk alone. Now, here's something science confirms. Jealousy is contagious. When one bitter person starts talking about you, it spreads. It sparks the same insecurity in others, and before you know it, you're not dealing with one hater. You're facing a committee. A jealous group built out of fear, fueled by envy, and united only by one mission, to stop you. But the irony? The more they come together, the more obvious it becomes. You are the threat. You are the center. You are the standard. And that makes you dangerous to people who wear masks for a living. And thank you, chosen one, for never shrinking, for staying real in a world that rewards the fake. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe button to help spread this light to more souls. It's our duty now to wake others up. You're part of something bigger than yourself, a force that can't be silenced. Thank you for showing up and standing tall. The universe sees you. We all do. Let's get back to it. This group that tried to target you, they were never built on truth. They were built on shared jealousy. And what's built on jealousy? It always breaks. Look around. The cracks are already showing. 1 minute they're plotting against you, the next they're turning on each other. Why? Because jealousy isn't a bond. It's a bomb. And the timer is already ticking. They thought they were intimidating you by grouping up, but you weren't scared. You just stood back and let the universe do what it does best. Expose. You didn't beg. You didn't fight dirty. You didn't stoop down to their level. You just existed. And that alone caused chaos in their whole structure, because people like you aren't supposed to exist in their world. Too real, too solid, too unbothered. Every time they tried to attack, they gave you more proof of your power. Think about it. Who spends all that energy trying to bring down someone irrelevant? Who forms a group chat just to tear one person down? Who watches your life like a movie they claim to hate but never miss an episode? People who are haunted by your existence, that's who. Let's keep it real. The chosen ones don't seek drama. It finds them. Not because they're loud, but because their silence speaks louder than fake love ever could. You walked in peace, and it triggered war in people who never knew peace. You showed up with light, and it made their shadows uncomfortable. They didn't expect the universe to protect you the way it has. They thought you'd fold, break, hide. But instead, you elevated. And now they're crumbling. Look at the pattern. It repeats through history. One truth-teller rises. A jealous crowd forms. They scheme, lie, sabotage. But in the end, the chosen one stands tall while the group dissolves in their own drama. It happened to visionaries, artists, leaders, and now it's happening to you. That's how you know you're not average. You were never meant to blend in. Your light was made to disrupt. And that disruption, it's beautiful, because now they're being seen for what they are. Not a powerful group, but a desperate one. Not a team, but a mob. And mobs always fall apart when they run out of a common enemy. Soon, they'll be left with just their own insecurities staring back at them. And you'll be walking forward, untouched, unbothered, unstoppable. Chosen one, everything you felt, the isolation, the targeting, the sudden tension in rooms that once welcomed you. It was never your fault. It was a reaction, a mirror. You showed people what they weren't. You reminded them of the truth they tried to hide, and in return they tried to shut you down. But you can't dim a light that was built from within. Their downfall isn't revenge, it's reality. It's the natural result of a foundation built on hate, and it's already happening. You may not see it fully yet, but it's unfolding. Miscommunication, betrayals, nervous glances, secrets slipping. The group is rotting from the inside, all because they put their energy into destroying you instead of building themselves. Let them fall. You don't need to lift a finger. Just keep walking, keep growing, keep showing up as you, because your greatest revenge was never payback. It was presence. It was success. It was proving, without saying a word, that you're still here, still glowing, still chosen. So, before we dive deeper into how this jealous group is tearing itself apart, remember this. When they formed that alliance against you, they sealed their fate. They let the world know they couldn't handle you one-on-one. That's not power. That's surrender. And from here on out, the universe will keep shining a light on every hidden corner of their envy until there's nowhere left to hide. Drop a comment below with "I shine anyway" if this message touches your spirit. And chosen one, thank you for being part of this mission. You are proof that one real soul shakes up 1,000 fake ones. You are the blueprint they'll never copy, the force they'll never control, and the reason their house of lies is finally crashing down. And hey, chosen one, thank you for showing up. You already know this isn't just a random message. It's a reflection of what you've actually lived through. So don't scroll off now. What's coming next will expose every jealous move they made, every fake smile they threw, every silent war they started behind your back. Drop the number 777 in the comments if you're ready to call it all out. And if this message hits something real inside you, fuel the mission by blessing the team behind this. Even the smallest support helps keep this truth alive. Whether it's a cent or a shout-out, it pushes this light further. You're not just watching, you're part of this movement now. And now, let's break this down piece by piece. Stay locked in, because if you've ever been silently targeted, this will feel like someone finally speaking your story out loud. Let's get started. Number 1. They thought you were easy to break. Now they're breaking themselves. Jealous people don't hate you because you're doing something wrong. They hate you because you're doing everything right without their permission. That's the punch they didn't see coming. You weren't a rival. You weren't a threat they planned for. You were a glitch in their system, a truth bomb dropped into a room full of lies. And instead of humbling up, they panicked. They called meetings, formed fake alliances, plotted behind your back like cowards in a corner, all because you walked in unbothered, unshaken, unavailable for their games. That's when they knew you were never supposed to be part of their world, and it drove them absolutely insane. Think about it. They tried to play chess, and you showed up with a completely different board. While they were busy trading pieces, you were rewriting the rules. And that's what shattered them. They only know how to win by comparing, controlling, and crowding the field. But you weren't looking for a trophy. You were the trophy. You didn't need the spotlight. You were the damn sun, and they couldn't dim your shine without burning themselves. Let's break this down even more. Insecure people only know how to operate inside systems that reward fakeness. They calculate everything: who has the clout, who gets the praise, who's the loudest. But when someone walks in without begging for any of that and still commands attention, that breaks the entire equation. That someone is you. You are the problem they couldn't solve, because you weren't a problem. You were the proof that everything they worshipped was useless. You might have wondered, why does it feel like they've been watching, competing, gossiping, plotting, even though you never did anything to them? Here's the truth: your existence offended their illusions. You didn't play their game, and that alone made them feel small, because deep down, they know their status is hollow. They know they're only somebody as long as nobody real walks in. And when you did, it cracked their whole identity. Let me give you a metaphor they'll never forget. Imagine a room full of people wearing fake crowns, calling themselves kings. Then one real king walks in. No crown, no entourage, just presence. What happens next? Panic, insecurity, exposure. That's what you triggered. That's why they grouped up. They needed each other to survive the reality check you brought with just your existence. Psychology backs this up too. It's called the irrelevance rage. It's not just jealousy, it's rage from realizing you're not even being seen by the one you obsess over. They watched you rise, hoping to see you slip. But you didn't even glance their way. And nothing humiliates a group of insecure people faster than realizing the one they tried to destroy didn't even consider them a challenge. You were never competing, you were building. While they were flexing, you were focused. While they were clinging to fake titles, you were mastering your truth. And when someone can't beat you, they'll try to distract you. That's why they whispered. That's why they threw dirt. But the dirt didn't bury you. It revealed you. And every insult they threw turned into a mirror they couldn't handle. And now they're unraveling, one by one. You can hear the cracks forming, fake alliances crumbling, gossip turning into regret. Because the truth always boomerangs, and it's heading back to them. You don't need to lift a finger. You don't need revenge. You are the revenge. Every time you level up, you remind them their hate didn't work. Their numbers didn't win. Their plans didn't hold. You're untouchable, not because you're loud, but because you're solid. You're not powered by popularity. You're powered by presence. And presence can't be manufactured. It's either real or it's not. And yours is so real, it made their whole system collapse. So, chosen one, if you're still asking why they did what they did, understand this. They weren't mad because you had more. They were mad because you didn't need what they had. They were mad because you shined without asking. You won without playing. You lived without needing their validation. And that level of freedom, that drives control freaks crazy. They assumed your silence was weakness. It wasn't. It was calculation. It was grace. It was the confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are. They built narratives hoping you'd chase their approval. But you moved past them like they didn't exist. And now, they're stuck with the truth. They never mattered to your story. Let them keep watching. Let them keep crumbling, because the chosen one doesn't beg to be seen. The chosen one can't be ignored. That's you. You are the person who proved that being real is more powerful than being popular. You are the mirror that cracked their masks. You are the reminder that one person walking in truth outweighs a whole crowd built on lies. So let them whisper, let them plot, let them envy, because their downfall was set the moment they thought you were average. You were never in their league, and now they're choking on that reality. The universe never let them destroy you, because you weren't part of their small world to begin with. You were the earthquake sent to shake it up, and now that little jealous group is going down, and you're rising untouched. Number 2, their gang-up wasn't strength. It was a scared little confession. It doesn't take bravery to attack one person with a group. It takes fear masked as ego. That's the truth they'll never have the guts to say out loud, chosen one. But you don't need to hear it from their mouths. You've already seen it in their actions. The way they circled you, the way they whispered in packs, lied in groups, plotted behind closed doors. That wasn't strength. That was panic. And that panic was the confession. Their attack wasn't power. It was weakness, dressed up as strategy. It was a silent scream that said, "We can't handle this person alone." Imagine this, one candle in a pitch-black room and 5 people scrambling with flashlights, sweating to drown it out. Why bother? Why all that effort for one small flame? Because they knew that flame wasn't small at all. That glow was real, and real light doesn't take much to shake a room full of shadows. That's what your presence did, chosen one. It made them uncomfortable. It made them scramble. And when people who rely on illusions get exposed by someone authentic, they panic. Then they attack. Now picture this, a lion walking calmly through a field, minding its business. Suddenly, a pack of coyotes shows up, yapping, circling, trying to look tough. But ask yourself, if the lion was weak, why bring a whole pack? Why the group effort? The answer cuts deep. Because the lion was too much for one to handle. That lion is you. Their crowd was their shield, not their strength. See, here's where psychology breaks it down brutally. There's a phenomenon called coalition envy. It's when insecure people can't stand alone, so they unite, not out of shared values, but shared jealousy. They form fake communities around a common enemy, you. But it's not a real bond. It's not built on truth. It's built on bitterness. That's not a team. That's a trap falling in on itself. And you know what? You might have caught yourself asking, why me? Why was it always you who attracted the drama, the hate, the secret meetings? Why couldn't they just let you live? Here's your answer. Because you were the only one not trying to blend in. You were too real, too unshakable. You didn't ask for approval. You didn't play the social game, and that made you impossible to control. Uncontrollable people threaten controlled systems. Let me give you another image. Imagine a group of people building a house of cards, fragile, tall, stacked on ego, and here you come, walking by, steady, grounded, not even trying to knock anything down. But your presence alone creates wind. The cards wobble, they panic. Suddenly, you're the threat. But the truth is, their structure was always unstable. You didn't ruin it. You just exposed it by existing near it. And that's what your enemies did with every rumor they spread. Every fake story, every group chat, every petty little move. They confessed. They didn't realize it at first, but each jab they threw was actually a spotlight. Each whisper made people wonder, what is it about this person that bothers them so much? The more they tried to tear you down, the more they highlighted how important you were. Ordinary people don't get that kind of attention. You don't plan a takedown on someone irrelevant. You just ignore them. So the fact they couldn't ignore you, that's your proof proof that your existence struck a nerve. You didn't just challenge their image, you threatened their illusion. You showed up as something real in a room full of roles. And now the mask they wore doesn't fit anymore. And now it's starting to fall apart. Can you feel it? Their little alliance cracking, distrust creeping in. The lies they told about you are coming back to bite. The guilt, the exposure, the contradictions, they're all catching up. Because here's the thing about insecure people, they can't hold loyalty, they can't handle pressure. The second their target doesn't break the way they hoped, they turn on each other. Let me ask you something, chosen one. If they were so powerful, why did they have to team up? Why all the planning? Why the coordination just to attack you? Real power stands on its own. Fake power needs a crowd. And the more they grouped up, the more obvious it became. You were the strongest one in the room. That's the irony they'll choke on forever. Their alliance wasn't built to win. It was built to protect their ego from the truth. The truth that you were everything they pretend to be. The truth that you walked into their world and didn't need their praise, their approval, or their fake love to stand tall. You walked in complete, and people who are empty hate that. They thought their silence would erase you. Instead, it made people curious. They thought lies would stain your name. Instead, it made others want to know you more. And every time they attacked, more eyes opened. More people started thinking, this one person must be carrying something powerful if it takes all of them just to bring them down. Here's another metaphor. Imagine a diamond in a pile of glass. The glass hates how the diamond catches the light, so they try to bury it, scratch it, dull it. But every time they try, the diamond shines brighter. That's you. And no matter how they spin it, the truth will always shine through eventually. Even under pressure. Especially under pressure. Let's make something clear. Their plan backfired. Their attack didn't isolate you. It isolated them. It exposed their character, or lack of it. And now, everyone's watching. People are waking up. Their fake smiles don't work anymore. Their stories don't hold weight. Their team, weak, because it was never built on truth. It was built on not being you. And here's the most powerful truth of all. Their attack built your legacy. Every insult was a stepping stone. Every block they threw became a brick in your foundation. Every rejection turned into redirection. They didn't stop you. They certified you. They became part of your story, the part where the villain gets exposed and the real one rises. So now, let them talk, let them scramble, let them throw shade. Their own actions already exposed the truth. They couldn't beat you alone, and that means you've already won. Chosen one, this world doesn't hand out titles to the fake forever. Eventually, the truth always breaks through. You don't need to fight them. Just keep shining, keep walking, keep being the one they can't figure out, can't control, can't erase. Because their attack wasn't your destruction, it was your confirmation. Their downfall isn't coming, it's already happening. And the universe, it's watching it all unfold in your favor. Number 3, they thought you'd break, but you were built to outlast the storm. Jealousy wants quick results, but chosen ones play the long game, and that's where the weak drown. They thought they'd break you in a week, that you'd shatter under the pressure, retreat, vanish, collapse like they would if the tables were turned. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still rising. And now? They're exhausted, confused, and humiliated because the person they swore would fold is somehow still here, moving through the fire like it's nothing. Here's what they didn't expect. You were built different. They assumed you'd respond like they would. Emotional outbursts, desperate validation, or silence when the pressure hits. But you didn't flinch. You didn't break down. You didn't run. You outlasted them without even matching their energy, and that's what's eating them alive. Imagine this. They threw gasoline on your path, expecting to watch you burn. But instead of flames consuming you, they watched you walk through it like you'd been there before. That's what they never understood. Your stamina wasn't manufactured for this battle. It was earned long before they even knew your name. They attacked like amateurs playing a sprint. You responded like a veteran trained for marathons. Because what they didn't calculate was your history. They didn't know about the nights you got through without help, the betrayals you healed from alone, the pressure you carried that would have crushed the average. They had no idea that every scar on you was a layer of armor, earned, not borrowed. Here's a brutal fact. Envy is impatient. It demands instant gratification. That's why their attacks were rushed, messy, and loud, because deep down they were hoping you'd fall fast, but you were designed for the slow burn. You're not made of performance. You're made of permanence, and permanence is terrifying to people built on trends, clicks, and shallow confidence. They threw everything at you hoping to trigger your breakdown, but all they did was prove you don't bend the way they do. Every time they whispered, "This'll finally silence them," your presence got louder. Every time they thought, "This will ruin their name," your truth started spreading faster. What they don't realize is this: when you've already survived storms that should have wiped you out, nothing they throw can shake your foundation. That's why you still stand. You're not unbreakable because you're perfect. You're unbreakable because you've already been broken and rebuilt yourself stronger every single time. Let them throw what they want. You've got time, patience, and resilience they've never known. And here's the killer truth that haunts them now: they will run out of hate before you ever run out of strength. Number 4. They formed a circle of cowards, not a kingdom of strength. Any group that needs a common enemy to stay united was never a real alliance. It was a therapy session for the weak. They didn't team up because they respected each other. They didn't unite over values, vision, or purpose. No, they linked arms out of hate. Hate for you. That's what stitched them together. Not loyalty, not strength. Just mutual bitterness and the shared need to tear down what they couldn't become. You became their obsession, their rallying point, their excuse to feel powerful. And now that fake power is cracking under its own weight. Imagine this: a group of termites bragging about the house they're destroying. They're proud, loud, but none of them built anything. They just fed on someone else's structure. Yours. That's what this group was. They didn't create power. They clung to each other in hopes of stealing yours. And now that you're still standing, they've got nothing left but paranoia and backbiting. Psychology says it plain: alliances built on negativity collapse fast. Why? Because once the target is gone, the energy turns inward. Suspicion replaces strategy. Ego replaces loyalty. That's what's happening to them right now. The same mouths that whispered about you are now whispering about each other, because their fake unity had an expiration date. Imagine a group of people stranded in the dark, huddled together, claiming they're strong just because they're standing close. But none of them have a light. None of them have direction. That's what they were: scared people who mistook their proximity for power. And now the fear is setting in, because without you to target, their flaws are all that's left. You never needed a crowd to feel strong. They did, and that's why they're falling apart. Hate gave them a quick high, but truth gives you endurance. Let them rot. Let them unravel, because the bond they built wasn't loyalty. It was desperation pretending to be strength. And desperation always eats itself alive. Number 5. You walked in alone and made them realize they're nothing without a crowd. The loudest ones in the room aren't confident, they're just terrified someone like you might walk in and reveal how hollow they really are. They wore the mask of independence so well until you showed up. Calm, collected, unbothered, no entourage, no fake applause, just you, real, quiet power. And suddenly, everything they were pretending to be collapsed in front of you. Your presence didn't just threaten their egos, it exposed them. It stripped away their act and forced them to confront a truth they've spent their whole lives avoiding. They're not whole without an audience. You didn't even have to say a word. Your peace spoke louder than their noise. Your confidence, the kind that doesn't beg to be noticed, turned their performance into a parody. It was like holding up a mirror to their soul, and all they saw was someone pretending to be what you already are. That's the kind of power they can't compete with. That's the kind of power that breaks illusions. Imagine this, a room full of people shouting, dancing, putting on a show, and then you walk in, sit down, and say nothing. And suddenly, all eyes are on you. Not because you asked for it, but because your presence commands it. That's when the panic sets in for them. Because now they know authenticity makes noise without making a sound. Psychology proves it. People addicted to external validation are deeply threatened by those who move without it. And you move like you don't need a damn thing from them. That's why they try to twist your peace into arrogance. That's why they call your independence weird or cold. Because it reminds them that their entire identity depends on being seen, liked, clapped for. But you're built for solitude. You've faced silence, and instead of fearing it, you found yourself in it. That's why you walk like nothing's missing, because you aren't missing anything. You never needed the crowd. They did, and that truth hit them harder than any insult ever could. You didn't expose them by attacking, you exposed them by existing, and now they can't unsee what you showed them. Number 6. They tried to copy the flame, but you were the fire itself. You can steal the style, the tone, the timing, but if you don't have the soul, it'll always fall flat. They tried it all, the voice, the presence, the swagger, all of it rehearsed, polished, mimicked. But what they didn't realize is this: you're not built from the outside in. You glow because something deep within you burns constantly. Not for approval, not for applause, but for alignment. That's not something you can copy. That's something you become. They thought charisma was about volume. They thought confidence was about pretending. They thought energy was about being seen. But what fuels you has nothing to do with attention, and everything to do with intention. They're performing, you're radiating, they're trying to look powerful. You are powerful, and that's the gap they can't cross. Imagine someone buying a gold crown and thinking they're royalty. That's what they've been doing, buying the look, borrowing the talk, faking the vibe. But here you are, forged through fire, walking with the kind of grace only pain can teach. While they were rehearsing power, you were surviving storms. While they were imitating strength, you were building it. Your silence speaks louder than their screams. Your calm threatens their chaos. Why? Because you don't need to dominate a room to own it. You walk in and the energy shifts. That's not charisma, that's alignment. And alignment can't be sold, taught, or duplicated. It's built when no one's watching. It's built in the moments they'd never survive. They're chasing what you are, but here's the problem. They're only copying what they see, and what fuels you can't be seen. It's truth, It's self-mastery. It's peace that doesn't break when tested. It's the wisdom that comes from holding yourself together while the world tries to pull you apart. They wanted your glow, but not your grind. They wanted your essence, but skipped the evolution. That's why it all crumbles when they try to wear your energy like a costume. You're not a trend, you're a force, and they'll never manufacture what took you years of fire to become. Number 7. They dug a trap for you and fell face first into it. Schemes built in the dark always collapse under the weight of their own spotlight. They thought they were smart, thought they were slick, whispered in the shadows like nobody would catch on. But chosen one, the universe has a cruel sense of irony, the very light they tried to avoid. It's now burning straight through their mask. They didn't expect truth to fight back without lifting a finger. They thought exposure would destroy you. But guess what? It destroyed them. Imagine this. They set a stage to ruin your name. Scripts written, rumors rehearsed, roles passed around like candy. But here's the twist. The lights flipped on before they were ready, and now the audience is watching them scramble to stay in character. The fake smiles don't land. The lines don't match. And the story? It's falling apart, scene by scene. That's how exposure works. It doesn't kick the door down. It waits. It builds tension. Then, boom, everything hidden starts leaking out in plain sight. Their lies got lazy. Their fake energy got awkward. And now people are starting to see it. The inconsistencies, the contradictions, the desperation. You didn't have to shout. You just had to stand still. The universe brought the spotlight to them. Psychologists call it behavioral leakage, when liars reveal themselves through subtle overacting, excessive smiling, forced calm, nervous rambling. And now that's all they're doing, over-explaining, overcompensating, overexposed. Because guilt has a scent, and people around them are starting to smell it. Meanwhile, you didn't panic. You didn't fight back dirty. You stood tall, solid, untouched, and that contrast became blinding. They tried to throw dirt on your name, but the dirt slid off and stuck to their own hands instead. You were the diamond. They were the mess. And now the world sees it. They built a narrative with lies, but forgot that lies are allergic to time. The more they talk, the more it unravels. The more they scheme, the more obvious it becomes. They didn't just fail to take you down. They spotlighted their own downfall. The universe didn't just protect you. It embarrassed them. Poetic, isn't it? Number 8. They tried to dim you, but ended up lighting the stage. The loudest hate always exposes the brightest light, and the fools who can't stop staring at it. They came at you with venom, hoping to make you disappear. But chosen one, every drop of hate they threw became gasoline on your fire. Every insult was a spotlight. Every whisper was an announcement. Every fake story was a flare, drawing more eyes your way. And before they realized it, they made you famous in rooms you hadn't even entered yet. They thought hate would silence you, but hate doesn't erase energy, it amplifies it. That's basic physics. When someone puts that much emotional charge into targeting you, all they're really doing is transferring their energy into you. And you didn't absorb it, you transformed it. You flipped their bitterness into focus. You turned their noise into momentum. You walked through the fire and came out glowing like it was your spotlight. Because it was. Let's talk facts. Nobody obsesses over someone they don't secretly admire. Their hate wasn't just emotion. It was obsession disguised as rage. The way they stalked your moves, mimicked your style, monitored your name like it was their job. That wasn't beef. That was fixation. And fixation is always a power imbalance. You had it, they didn't. Imagine this. They tried to bury a seed, thinking it would rot. But instead, the pressure made you grow roots. Their shade gave you direction. And now, while they sit confused in their bitterness, you're blooming right in front of the world. That's the twist they didn't see coming. Their hate built your platform. Psychologically, this is called reactance bias. When people see someone unfairly targeted, they start to question the attacker, not the target. And that's what flipped everything in your favor. People started thinking, why are they so pressed about this one person? Suddenly, the crowd got curious. Curious became interested. Interested became inspired. And just like that, they built you a stage with their own hands. You didn't campaign for attention. They gave it to you. You didn't manipulate sympathy. They handed it to you. You didn't beg to be seen. They forced people to look. And what those people saw wasn't weakness. It was quiet strength. Grace under pressure. Calm in the chaos. A walking contradiction to every lie they told. They wanted to paint you as the villain, but forgot one thing. Villains don't glow like you. They don't walk with peace. They don't win without playing dirty. You did, and now they're watching your rise like spectators in a show they accidentally produced. You never needed the spotlight, but now that you've got it, you're using it for something bigger. You're not just surviving, you're showing others how to survive without becoming bitter. You're not just the result of the hate, you're the proof that it never wins. They can't rewind what they did. Their voices carried your name too far. Their hate echoed too loud. Now the world knows you, not because you begged to be seen, but because they couldn't stop talking. The spotlight's yours now, and it's not going anywhere, not because you fought for it, but because they tried so hard to take it. And here's the most brutal part, chosen one. They handed you the mic, and you never even had to raise your voice. Number 9. They thought you were alone, but you were just leveling up in silence. They confused your silence for weakness, not realizing it was the sound of power reloading. They thought stripping you of people would strip you of power. They thought if they isolated you, cut ties, spread rumors, made you the outsider, you'd wither. But that was their first and biggest mistake. Because solitude doesn't crush chosen ones, it creates them. You weren't breaking in the silence. You were sharpening, calibrating, preparing. And now that you've returned, steady, unbothered, unshakable, they're panicking. Because they didn't expect you to survive the quiet. They didn't think you'd adapt. But you didn't just adapt, you thrived. While they were busy drowning in noise, you learned to breathe underwater. While they stayed addicted to validation, you unplugged and built your own frequency. Alone didn't break you, it revealed you. Imagine a blade being forged in fire, heated, beaten, reshaped in isolation. That's what your solitude was. While they thought you were losing, you were transforming. While they were scrolling for relevance, you were sitting in the dark, building your clarity like armor. That's why your return hit differently, not loud, but lethal. See, people who depend on noise fear silence, because silence is where the truth gets loud. You heard your own voice again. You saw through their fake alliances, their shallow masks, their performance-based worth. And that insight? That's what gave you the edge. That's what scares them. Psychologically, this is called autonomous resilience. When you become your own source of energy, regulation, and direction, they rely on groupthink. You rely on alignment. They rely on gossip. You rely on clarity. That's why your solitude was your secret weapon. You weren't alone. You were in the lab. They thought they could destroy you by taking away the audience, but they didn't realize you never needed one. You don't seek energy. You are the energy. And now they're watching the one they cast out become the one who walks back in. Untouchable. They tried to isolate you, not knowing that isolation is where chosen ones become legends. Number 10. They thought purity was soft. Now they're getting burned by it. They aimed their weapons at purity, thinking it was harmless, not realizing it was the one thing the darkness can never survive. They saw your kindness and thought, easy target. They mistook your calm for weakness, your empathy for ignorance, your goodness for gullibility. But they misread the whole game, chosen one. What they didn't realize is that purity isn't softness. It's sharp. It's silent fire. It's the kind of energy that doesn't just survive attacks. It reveals everything rotten around it. And now that fire's eating them alive from the inside out. They expected you to fight dirty, to lose control, to stoop to their level, but you didn't. You stayed still. You stayed true. You let your silence scream louder than any insult. And now the guilt they tried to avoid, it's echoing inside their own heads. That's the price of striking at someone who meant no harm. The universe makes sure you never forget it. Imagine a clear stream, calm and beautiful, until someone throws in poison. The stream doesn't get loud. It doesn't splash. It just carries the poison downstream, where it eventually contaminates them. That's what happened here. They tried to infect you, and now they're choking on their own toxicity. Psychology names it moral dissonance, the psychological torment of hurting someone who didn't deserve it. And that torment? It doesn't go away with distractions or apologies. It festers. It haunts. It creates a weight they weren't built to carry. And the heavier it gets, the more they unravel. Your presence didn't fight back. It reflected. And that reflection is what's killing them. Your grace made their rage look pitiful. Your peace made their chaos embarrassing. You didn't just survive the attack. You exposed the attackers. They were trying to ruin your image, but now they're the ones whose masks are falling off. The irony? They thought they'd destroy your light. Instead, they exposed their own darkness. And now the world sees it. Their punishment isn't public, it's internal. It's the self-hatred, the regret, the shame that never lets them rest. You didn't lose, you revealed them, and now their downfall has already begun, not from your revenge, but from their own reflection. Number 11. They took your quiet as a quit. Now they're watching you rise in silence. Real power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just watches while everyone else reveals who they are. They thought you were done, thought your silence meant you had nothing left. But chosen one, you weren't hiding, you were healing, you weren't defeated, you were reloading. And now they're realizing that silence isn't the absence of power. It's the most strategic form of it. You see, insecure people need noise to feel relevant. They need chaos, drama, and attention to survive. So when you went quiet, they got loud. Loud with gossip, loud with lies, loud with insecurity disguised as confidence. But the silence, it wasn't for them. It was for you, because real strength doesn't flinch when provoked. It steps back, observes, recalibrates, and then comes back sharper. Imagine a sniper in a war zone. They don't run into the middle of chaos, screaming. They stay still, breathe, line it up, and take their shot when it counts. That was you. They ran their mouths thinking they were winning, but all they did was expose themselves while you waited for the noise to die down. And now, with every messy overreaction they made, they painted themselves as the villain, not you. Psychologically, silence triggers anxiety in manipulators. Why? Because they live off your response, your anger, your confusion, your energy. When you go quiet, you rob them of control. That's why they started spiraling, over-posting, over-explaining, over-sharing. Your silence forced them to sit in the mess they made without your energy to blame it on. They thought they broke you, but they were just loud enough to reveal that you'd outgrown them. And when you came back, calm, clear, distant, they panicked. Because silence with clarity is the scariest response of all. It says, "I'm not angry, I'm over it." They mistook your silence for defeat, but really, it was the sound of your evolution, and now they know they didn't silence you. They lost access to you, and that, for them, is the ultimate punishment. Number 12. They built the trap, then fell face first into it. You don't need to fight people who are digging their own graves. You just step back and let the dirt fly. They thought they were clever, chosen one, thought every lie was a thread tightening the net around you. But they didn't realize the whole time they were scheming, they weren't building a cage for you. They were building a coffin for themselves. That's the part envy never calculates. It doesn't just aim outward, it infects inward. They were so obsessed with your destruction, they became blind to their own slow collapse. Every rumor they spread, it left a trail. Every fake smile, it cracked under pressure. Every attempt to sabotage you became a confession of weakness. That's the brutal truth. They exposed themselves trying to erase you. The more energy they invested into hurting you, the more obvious it became who they really were. Fragile, fake, and drowning in their own bitterness. Psychologists call this projective collapse. When someone puts so much effort into ruining another person, they lose themselves in the process. That's exactly what happened. You didn't clap back. You didn't match their energy. And because of that, they had to carry every drop of hate alone. That weight, it's breaking them now, quietly, beautifully. Imagine someone throwing knives at you in the dark, not realizing they're standing in a mirrored room. Every blade bounces back. That's karma, that's recoil, that's energy finding its rightful owner. And now they're walking around bleeding from wounds they gave themselves. They wanted you to lose it, wanted you to crack, to curse, to lash out so they could say, "See? Told you they were fake, but you didn't. You held your ground. You chose restraint." And that's when the script flipped. Because nothing unnerves a snake more than the prey refusing to run. You were the mirror they couldn't smash. Your stillness reflected every flaw they tried to hide. And now they're living in the prison they built for you, with no key, no exit, and no audience left to lie to. They thought they could bury you. But you're not the seed, you're the mountain. And now all they've done is prove how small they are next to something that never even moved. Chosen one, you didn't just survive. You exposed everything fake around you by staying true to yourself. Their schemes, their noise, their hate, it all collapsed under your silence, your strength, your evolution. And now, your story speaks louder than any rumor ever could. If this message lit something in you, press that like button if you haven't already. And if you're still not part of our family, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because this isn't just a channel, it's a movement. We're building power in silence, and your presence here makes all the difference.